Today, the UFC has announced their new matchups for UFC 304 going down this July. We will be talking about some of those fights announced. But primarily, we're going to shift from matter of fact MMA and become matter of fact boxing, and we're going to discuss Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury to unify the heavyweight championship. All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it, right back with it. It's your boy Matt. We're going to go over some of the new fights have been announced by the UFC, specifically by Dana White, as well as we're going to talk about Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury. Or if you prefer, Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. Either way, we talking about one of them big dudes, and we going to break it down. So, first off, let's just start with the main event. Let's start out with Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury. So this fight is going to go down. This is another Saudi Arabia born fight, funded fight, so to speak. They got paper, so they offering it up type deal. And this has been a fight that is, to me, I find it extremely polarizing, and it looks like it's polarizing as well through many fans and the media, as to this is truly a hard fight to call on who is actually going to win this fight. Now, I will say that this has been a fight that just, I'm not the most avid boxing follower, but as much as I do follow it, this has definitely been a fight that, people were talking about who would win between these two back before 2020, before the whole world got shut down for a while, you know what I'm saying? And so I remember being at my second job at that time, which I no longer have. F those folks. I don't like those folks. Nevertheless, I was working two jobs at the time. At my second job, I used to argue with this guy back and forth on who would win between Fury and Usyk. And as we fast forward now, this entire time, I've in my opinion, I've always thought, and I will reveal if I still think this, that Alexander Usyk would win the battle between these two, pound for pound heavyweights. So with that being said, a lot of people I feel like might have possibly had it the other way. They have felt the entire time and feel that Tyson Fury is going to win. But I will say that I think a lot of people changed their tune when they saw Fury almost lose to Francis Ngannou. And in some people's eyes and scorecards, he did lose. With that being said, I think that made a lot of people waver on if Tyson Fury was going to win. In my opinion, before I give my pick, I feel like that doesn't mean anything or shouldn't be a strike against Tyson Fury. Because in my opinion, after seeing the shape that Tyson Fury is coming in this week for this fight with Usyk, I feel like what happened with Francis Ngannou, and I know that even though Tyson Fury is a thorough fighter, as in he's going to thoroughly train for every matchup and be well prepared, I must say that I feel like the shape that he came in, it's not like he's ever going to walk out with a six-pack, you know what I'm saying, and be all shredded up. But he looked to be out of shape. He looked to be slow. He kind of looked old, as I'm digging into him. And it's like, I feel like he just didn't take Francis Ngannou that seriously. As well as I kind of feel like him acting like Saudi Arabia announced this without him giving his sign off, so to speak. They announced the Usyk Fury fight a week or two before the Francis Ngannou fight, saying it was going to happen a month or two after the original date until Tyson Fury got a cut and they had to scrap that date. With that being said, bro, stop, dude. It's like, nah, man. I feel like Tyson Fury just didn't really take that man that seriously. With that being said, given the shape that he's coming in now, legacy is on the line. You have to understand that if you don't follow a lot of boxing, what you have to understand to kind of put this in MMA terms, this is like John Jones, right? This is like John Jones in his prime. So this is like a light heavyweight John Jones. This is like John Jones in his prime, who was kind of like, I would kind of lean that toward Usyk. Even though Usyk, I believe, is about 2 years older than Tyson Fury. I think Usyk is 37. Tyson Fury's around 35. Usyk is really right now, this is like prime Usyk, in my opinion. You know, this is like top of the heap, king of the hill Usyk. Because there's not many people that Usyk is going to fight right now that you're like, oh, this guy's definitely going to go in and wash Usyk. You know what I'm saying? There's even a Usyk hater wouldn't feel that. Because this man, his footwork, his speed, the chess matches that he plays in each one of his fights are on another level. With that being said, this is like Anderson Silva around the time period when he fought Chris Weidman, in which when you look back on it, one might argue that possibly Anderson Silva might have been a step or two out of his prime by the time he stepped in the octagon with Chris Weidman, but was still regarded as the GOAT, was still regarded as pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. So what I'm saying is this is like a prime John Jones, which would have been a light heavyweight, which would be Usyk, who there's not many people, if anyone, saying Usyk is out of his prime. And this is like maybe a half a step, if not one step. And I know I'm getting into numbers here and steps, but it's like a half a step or one step of Anderson Silva being out of his middleweight prime, which would be Tyson Fury. There are some people that believe Tyson Fury might be a step or a slight step out of his prime right now. It's like these two meeting, but you also need to add in, imagine that both of these men shared the top of the heap championship in their weight class, because boxing has all of these different, within one weight class, each promotion, each organization has their own heavyweight champion. Well, these guys have unified the majority of all of the ones that actually matter, which are like 3, right? Usyk holds one of those. Usyk holds 2 of those. Tyson Fury holds 1 of those, if I'm not mistaken. At the end of the day, we're going to find out who, as a matter of fact, now that I think about it, I take that back. Actually, that's vice versa. Tyson Fury has the 2 championships because he was the lineal champion, as well as he beat Deontay Wilder. Usyk has the 1 championship. Just wanted to clarify that. Sorry about that. Let's move on. Nevertheless, that's like the two guys. These is men. They is him meeting up in the middle of the ring. That's what we're about to see, right? With all of that being said, I feel like Alexander Usyk is going to go out there and defeat Tyson Fury. I feel that this Tyson Fury has left no stone unturned. He will definitely be prepared. He looks to be in tremendous shape. I don't feel like mentally he's going to be missing a step after his fight with Francis Ngannou. I don't feel like any of that. I feel like this is going to be a good showing for Tyson Fury. With that being said, the advantages that Tyson Fury generally uses against his opponents, being so large, leaning on his opponent, having the range on his opponent, being able to kind of lean on, because the Fury we've seen over the last few years is a heavier, more physical, dominant Tyson Fury. Like it's more of I'm going to use my height, I'm going to use my reach, I'm going to use my range, I'm going to lean on this fighter, in the boxing version of the clinch. I'm going to put my weight on him. I'm going to lean him up against the ropes. I'm going to make him feel the power, and then as his stamina begins to waver, I'm going to unleash these amazing combinations that look like they would be done by a man half my size. With that being said, he's not going to have those same advantages with Usyk because Usyk's footwork is on another level than the opponents that Tyson Fury has faced within the last few years. Usyk sets, now not to say Tyson Fury doesn't have tremendous GOAT heavyweight footwork and does not set traps. He definitely sets tremendous traps. He's a chess player himself, but it's a different style of chess that Tyson Fury plays. Tyson Fury plays a chess match mixed along with the fact that he's setting traps, he's luring his opponents into different things, and then he's going to use his physical advantages over them to exploit them once they fall for his trap. Bam. You didn't know your boy Matt could do that. With that being said, Alexander Usyk sets traps and plays chess in a different manner. He has his run of the mill on setting traps that could knock an opponent out, that could overwhelm an opponent, can zap an opponent's stamina away, and any number of things. But he doesn't necessarily, other than his speed and footwork, his chess matches, his gamesmanship is not based out of his physical advantages, because pound for pound, he's the greatest cruiserweight of all time, more or less, right? He's not going to overwhelm anyone with his physical gifts other than his speed. So he has to be a little bit sharper as far as the traps that he's setting for his opponents. And I feel that he will not be there. He will not be close enough to Tyson Fury for Tyson Fury to be able to use his advantages. Because even his reach advantage, I feel that Usyk will be able to evade that. So in my opinion, now neither man do you necessarily ever have to worry about getting tired. Although there were times that Fury looked like he could be a little bit tired in the Francis Ngannou fight, but I think that goes along with him not coming in the best of shape. But with that being said, both men got tremendous stamina. Both men are definitely coming into this fight in shape. And I really think that this is going to be one for the ages between these two men. So this is going to be very interesting to see. It goes down this Saturday. I'm extremely hyped up to watch this. My pick is Alexander Usyk to win. Now, your boy's going to order that fight. I'm going to be real with you. I'm not watching. Look. Don't play me, boxing. I'm not watching none of the other fights on that card. I only want to watch the main event. I'm going to drop down my hard-earned cash, hard-earned bread, payola. I'm putting it all down, right? To watch that fight, but I'm only watching that one fight. I'm not watching none of the other fights. I just want to see that one. Because boxing is also notorious for, we ain't giving you nobody else that you're trying to see on this card. We only giving you the main event. And that's kind of how they roll. So, that's my pick. Usyk to go out there, unify the heavyweight championship of the world, and then we see where he goes from there. Because I'm not sure who's left to fight, because I don't think anybody really wants to see him versus Anthony Joshua again after he's already beat him twice, and convincingly both times. With that being said, of course, if Fury does win, Fury's career, basically his trajectory, there's only one more fight, and that fight is against Anthony Joshua. That's the only other man left for him to beat as far as his boxing legacy. So if Fury wins, I feel like the next fight you're going to get, whenever they can set that up, as long as Joshua doesn't take another fight in the meantime, in between time, because there is a rematch clause. These two men, talking about Usyk and Fury, are going to have to fight again later on this year. But with that being said, if Joshua waits long enough or he doesn't go out and take another L, I feel that he will be Tyson Fury's next opponent. And then Tyson Fury can ride off into the sunset, unless he wants to do a rematch with Francis Ngannou just to have a boatload of extra money just kind of thrown at him. With that being said, that's my pick. That's my call for the heavyweight boxing fight this weekend. Now, the only other thing I did want to talk about real quick is Dana White announced some fights for UFC 304, which goes down on July the 27th. This is going down in the United Kingdom. And I wanted to go over this real quick. In the main event, Leon Edwards will defend his welterweight championship against, remember the name, but a lot of the time we wish we could forget, Belal Muhammad. Shout out to Belal Muhammad, who's finally going to get his welterweight title shot. Shout out to Leon Edwards, who continues to take on all comers and not duck anyone. And, I'm definitely interested in seeing this fight. I don't think it's going to be an exciting fight whatsoever. But in the name of the hardcores, it's a fight that has to happen. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, that's the welterweight main event. In the co-main event spot, interesting enough, heavyweight, interim heavyweight championship on the line, Tommy Aspinall will defend his interim heavyweight championship against Curtis Blades in a rematch. This, to me, out of all the heavyweights that are available right now, since someone is refusing to fight Tom Aspinall or a real opponent, not to shade Alex Pereira. I would love to see that fight, but quit talking about this Stipe fight. Nevertheless, Tommy Aspinall, this is the only fight that really made sense because Curtis Blades has the only recorded win over Tom Aspinall in the UFC run. So, with that being said, man, this is going to be outstanding. I'm not going to make any real picks right now, but I'm leaning toward Tom Aspinall to get the win there, and that will really kind of fix that asterisk, so to speak, on his record, that he rights that wrong of defeating Curtis Blades. Let's move on. Other fights on this card. Giga Chikadze steps in the octagon with Arnold Allen. That's going to be an outstanding fight at featherweight. We really need to see where both of those guys are at right now. That's going to show you. What about this? What about Muhammad Makayev stepping in the octagon against Manel Kape? Guess what I'm talking about? We talking about Muhammad Makayev, bro, stepping in there with Manel Kape. Mother effing Manel Kape. That's what I'm talking about. That's a flyweight fight. Let us hope that Manel Kape can make flyweight. That's a flyweight fight. That gets you a real flyweight contender for the championship. Let's go. As you can tell, I'm excited about that. But let's also, the final fight I wanted to mention that was announced, Paddy Pimblett will step in the octagon with the OG King Bobby Green. That's what I'm talking about. The only other man in the run-in of the Paddy Pimblett sweepstakes was Money Moicano. Shout out to Money Moicano. I kind of wish he would have got that fight, but it's cool because I'm ready to see King Bobby Green go out there and do work against Paddy Pimblett. So those are the fights that have been announced thus far for UFC 304 going down July the 27th. I'm definitely excited to see these fights, the ones they've announced so far, so I'm anxious to see what else they're going to throw on that card or on that show. And you've also got my pick for Fury versus Usyk. So let me know, who do you think is going to win that boxing match between Fury and Usyk? Who do you got between Leon and Belal? Right now I'm leaning a little bit more toward Leon. And let me know who you got between Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. Once again, I do want to thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.